think it's very unfair that my country, our country, was stolen from us by these crazy dictators, Lukashenko and Putin. In Belarus, I am recognized a terrorist, extremist. I am sentenced to 20 years of prison. It's the maximum sentence I could get. I am accused in state treason, organizing mass riots, insulting Lukashenko. Altogether, it's about 12 different crimes. So if I will cross the border, immediately I will go to jail and probably till the end of my life. I'm Franak Viačorka. I'm from Belarus. Right now I'm working with Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya as a chief of staff, but by training I'm a journalist and political activist, but life brought me where I am right now. My life was full of political activities because my father was engaged in an anti-Soviet movement, and myself, when I was 13 years old, I started to participate in activities, in protests, organize different rallies against Lukashenko's regime.
Живе Беларусь!
Живе! Белорусский наш лицей, мы тебя вславляем, дух любови и свободы.
From the very childhood, I had this memory which haunts me all the time. My birthday was always on March 26, and the day of freedom of Belarus on March 25, and there were always protests on March 25, and the next day I was always spending my birthday without father, because he was either in prison or hiding from KGB or somewhere else. And this was so painful, that because of this Lukashenko's cruel, horrible regime, you cannot have a childhood. And I remember that my birthday, we were going to the prison, bringing packages to my father.
Ведайте что, это жонка Franak Viačorки пришла, я невеликую передачу ему принесла. Можно передать? Ну, я не ведаю, а что, никому не дозволяют?
Светит солнце рано ранком, трансферанки. Я люблю пах свежей кавы, я люблю смак смаженной булки.
But later on we changed the roles, and I remember that I was in prison later, and my father was bringing packages to me.
Ну что вы за человек, а? Мне сказали, что 10.
Я хочу узнать, здесь мой сын или нет?
Ничего не могу уточнить.
And I think it's so unfair, and this is not only my story, it's a story of thousands of families. In 2020, I had to leave Belarus. One of my best friends, Igor Losik, the blogger, he was detained, and I realized that next day I will be. It was just few months before elections, because I was part of this group preparing the protests, and part of our group was already in jails. So it was not a big choice for me. Lithuania and Poland became a safe haven for many Belarusians, including myself. We saw how our life could be without Lukashenko thanks to Lithuania and Poland. And for me, it was clear and evident to come to Lithuania because it's the closest country to us, and geographically it's only 2 hours from Minsk. It's the closest big city to Minsk. So even here, being in Vilnius, we feel Belarus, because it's like 15 minutes and you're on the border. But for me, it was also important to come here because Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya, when the revolution sparked, she came to Vilnius. And Lithuania provided the refuge for her here. And I came to support her.
We knew Franak before this, and we knew his father, who was one of the leaders of Belarusian Popular Front. And we understood that Franak is the right person who has the same goals: stop repressions, to release political prisoners, and to build democracy in Belarus.
We have the office of Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya, which is working as the administration of president. She is president-elect, supported by the people, but she never took her office because Lukashenko seized the power. And we had to create in exile alternative institutions of power. And basically right now our office works as the real presidential office. But I hope this place will not be forever. I hope we will come back to Minsk as soon as possible. So we are in the office of Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya. So this is the place where the teams are working, where international guests are coming. This portrait presented by protesters in 2020. You could see also different pictures of foreign leaders, the Speaker of Swedish Parliament, Prime Minister Rutte. There are presence from Belarusian fighters fighting for Ukraine, for freedom of Belarus and Ukraine. We believe that fight of Ukraine is also our fight.
Franak is a person who produces all the ideas. Sometimes, for example, strategic teams can work for days on producing some concepts, and Franak is the one who comes in the last moment to rewrite all the things that were done. He is the one that feels the energy of New Belarus, and he's fast-thinking. He always comes up with something new, and he's one of the greatest motivators that we have.
Super proactive. I met probably a couple of times only those kind of person who are so active. When I mean active, it's 24/7. He can call you, text you in any time from each place, and it means that those kind of person can help Belarus or our country very well. Super professional one. We want all these artifacts one day to bring to Belarus and to make a museum of Belarusian freedom revolution, to show that our struggle was difficult, it was hard, but finally it was victorious. So this is our goal. So in Belarus, after 2020, situation has changed dramatically. From authoritarian state, Belarus became totalitarian country. Before 2020, we had a little space of freedom, and we used it at maximum.
Я не прагну жыць з Лукашенком до самой смерти. Таму я буду робіць усё для того, каб ситуація змянілася.
Разрешение распространения у вас есть?
Разрешение не треба. Разрешение не треба.
Требую везде разрешение распространения, тем более газеты.
Покажите мне закон. Покажите закон.
У вас документы о письме имеются?
Имеются. Какая причина того, что вы меня затримываете?
А вы служба приметная?
Нет, скажите, для кого?
Преступника.
Какого преступника? Какого преступника?
Давайте.
Я зараз уйду з вашого участка в інше місце. Это вам досково буде?
Давай. Карифана своего забираем.
Хорошо.
Что нам гэта? Мириться будем? Не, терпеть пригнет.
What's the situation now? Just imagine if Stalin, Joseph Stalin, lives now in 21st century, having technologies, having internet, having unlimited resources. This is about life in Belarus, Lukashenko's Belarus right now. So every word you say, every word you share online can lead you to jail. Every single day, from 12 to 15 people are being detained. I am scrolling my Facebook and Instagram feed, and half of my friends are in prisons right now. And this is the reality. So you are waking up in the morning and you don't know if you will not end your day in the prison. Very often the regime is trying to blackmail people. And when you are in jail, very often they record a confessional video with you, where people are just confessing crimes they never committed. And of course, this creates the feeling of fear. Now I realize how our ancestors, like not ancestors, but our grandparents were living in the totalitarian Soviet Union in Stalin times, feeling that every your step is under control of KGB. I think this is horrible. You know, when you have to teach your kids, you know, about the prisons, about the war, you know, to hide from KGB, I think it's very unfair towards kids. And I don't want my kids in the future, you know, to repeat this fate, because it's a nightmare. This is also my motivation. You know, I don't want next generation, you know, to suffer because we didn't finish our job. So right now it's impossible to organize street protests. But the resistance continues. It just changed its forms. When before we went to the rallies on the streets, right now there are tea communities, like babushkas. They gather together in the evening watching independent news, Belsat, reading newspapers, and this is the way how they protest. For some people, the protest, it's speaking language, Belarusian language. Who could imagine in 21st century people are prohibited to use their own native language, Belarusian? And for us, many things depends on Belarusians, the changes, but the geopolitical context is crucial as well. This is why we invest so much in building international relations right now. So when the moment of discussion, negotiations about the future will start, no one will leave Belarus to Putin. Belarus will not be consolation prize to Putin. This is our biggest fear, that when the peace talks happen, someone will propose to leave Belarus to Putin, Putin be appeased and happy. No, Belarus must be withdrawn from the war. Russian army, nuclear weapons and soldiers must be out of our country, and Belarusians must be able to choose their leadership, which leads the country to Europe. I want Belarus to be cool, to be part of Europe, to be like Poland and Lithuania, and to enjoy peace, democracy, and life in the end.